Hi everyone, this is Christy De La Cruz, and I think this is the 6th video in my series on virtual workplace management for those with ADD and ADHD. And this is on the ultradian rhythm. And so in the previous video, I talked about training your focus and being able to focus on one thing in sort of more intense bursts, because we're actually fairly good at that when we have kind of time pressure or a deadline. We can sometimes procrastinate until the deadline. And so we have to break things down into, manageable portions and then kind of do little sprints. And so I wanted to tell you a little more about the ultradian rhythm, because this is something that we all have these basic rest and digest cycles within a day. And they tend to go in a 3-to-1 ratio. And so the typical one is about 72 minutes to about it's 70 to 20. So here's what I mean. So we have a cycle of focus that lasts about 70 minutes. And then our brain kind of shifts into more of a diffuse state. And so a little more of a creative, kind of dreamy kind of state. And the basic ratio is about 70 minutes to 20 minutes. I sometimes just round that off to like a 3-to-1 ratio. And so what's very important about this is that when you plan your work, say you plan it, I like to plan my work in 1.5-hour chunks. And so from like 9 to 10:30, it's a block of time. From 10:30 to 12 is a block of time. I just kind of like that. And so if you have those 90-minute chunks, realize that for the first probably 70 minutes of that at most, you're going to be focused. And then the last 20 minutes, you might be less focused. And that's a very natural cycle. That's called ultradian rhythm. And it's really about your brain waves changing state. It's just how our bodies work kind of in focus and a little less focused. And so if you're planning your work for a day, you may want to plan it so that you're able to follow that ultradian rhythm a little bit more. So earlier I talked about taking breaks. And so some of us have intense focus for certain kinds of things. And so maybe our ultradian rhythm is like, okay, I'm 90 minutes in a focused state, and then I'm going to take a 30-minute break, for example, and doing that throughout the day. You'll find your intervals probably get shorter as the day goes on, because that's another piece. As we get closer to evening and winding down, those cycles of focus get shorter. And now there's a little variation for, those of you who are night folks. You might have some focus that's higher in the evening, and maybe you don't have as much focus in the morning. Totally fine. But just do a little bit of intentional planning around that, so that you're not forcing yourself to keep working during that period of less focus, or you're doing something creative, so you're stimulating the other part of your brain. Now my cat Willie is trying to get up here, so I'm going to bring this video to a close, but thank you for listening, and I appreciate your attention. I'm going to make a few more of these videos. For now, I'm going to call that part 1 of a series. I think that's 6 videos, and I would love to hear your questions, observations. Do these videos apply to you? Do you find some value in them? And do you have any questions? I would love to hear your questions so that I can know what other content I might provide to be helpful to you. Thanks.